Hello, and welcome to another edition of True Audio Files. My name is Jim Carter. So today I'm going to talk about the differences between a remix and a remaster. Also, stay tuned at the end because I'm going to go over a Grail that I found this week as well. So pretty excited about it. So stay tuned for that later. But I know I talked about this subject at least briefly in one of my previous videos, the video about do you like remixes of old albums, but I kind of wanted to go have a separate video about this just so maybe it's a little easier for someone to see and find if they want to know what the difference is between a remix and a remaster. So, because I don't know, I probably briefly went over what the difference was between a remix and a remaster, but anyways, I've been struggling with this a lot on social media and a lot of group pages that I see where people seem to often mix up and not know the difference between a remix and a remaster, and there is a gigantic difference between them. So basically, when something is remastered, they basically take an already pre-mixed recording that was done, and they maybe add some EQ, maybe they add some compression, things on that nature to kind of maximize its sound quality or maximize the way they want it to sound anyways. But they don't touch any levels on the drums or the vocals or the guitars or any of that kind of thing. They don't do any of that in the mastering phase. So when you have a remix, generally there's a remastering obviously done as well, but that's a different step at the end. What the remix does is they take the original multi-tracks of the recording. So, let's just make an assumption it's a 16-track master tape. So they'll have, let's say drums on a couple of different tracks and guitars and vocals, bass, guitar, things on that nature. And they'll take that master tape and remix it to make it, hopefully, sound better. But anyways, sound different than the original master or original time it was mixed. Sometimes they do this because they didn't like the way it was originally mixed before. And if done well, it can potentially sound better also, especially if they mix it digitally, which they mostly do nowadays anyways. But basically when things were mixed back in, let's say pre-1980s, they basically took the original multi-track master tapes and mixed it down to another tape. So when you do that, you kind of add a little bit of loss in sound quality because you're making another generation of tape, which will lessen the sound quality inherently. It's just, there's no way around that. So if you mix everything digitally, you're not getting that same loss. Now, some may argue that, digital doesn't sound as good as analog, so you're having that loss. But let's just stick to, for argument's sake, you're not going to have the same kind of loss, for lack of a better description, in digital as you would in analog. So especially if you mix, again, bringing up a little bit of controversy here, but especially if you mix in high resolution digital. So, you transfer all the multi-tracks into digital, high resolution digital, and then you mix them the way you want to remix them. Then it goes into the mastering phase after that in most cases. Some of the best examples of things like that I'm talking about here are the Beatles had, over the last 3 years, have had Sgt. Pepper, the White Album, and Abbey Road remixed from the original master tapes, original multi-track master tapes. Also, a person named Steven Wilson, who was part of created the band Porcupine Tree and also has a lot of solo projects, is also really well respected and renowned for remixing a lot of old Jethro Tull, XTC, Yes, a lot of progressive rock stuff, King Crimson also, and in many cases the original artists have actually felt that the remix that Steven Wilson has done sounds much better than the original mix. I actually am of that opinion as well, but I know there are people out there that don't agree with that, and that's fine. But so essentially that is going to be the big difference. So whenever you see something out there, most of the time it's only going to be a remaster. But there are cases like the Beatles, like some most recently reissued XTC, King Crimson, and Yes, and some other stuff. Some of that stuff has been remixed. And I guess the point of all of this is, the reason why I bring it up is, number one, just so people understand that there's truly a big difference between a remix and a remaster. But also, more importantly, it's hard to do an apples to apples comparison between a remix and the original mix, because they're just gonna sound different. Now, you may have a preference to one or the other, but I've seen a lot of people on forums and things like that saying, oh, this remix is just so much better sounding than the remaster or the original mastering. It's like, well, it's because it's remixed. You're not necessarily comparing apples to apples. So that's one thing you want to keep in mind with that as well. So I hope that clears everything up for you out there that maybe had some confusion between what's a remix and what is a remaster. And a part of the reason why I like talking about this as well is, for example, you may really, really like the the original mix that's out there, and you don't want to necessarily have listen to a remix. Some people just, they're old school. They want to listen to it the way they originally heard it back when they heard it, when it first came out, and and that's fine. And they will just psychologically not like anything that's different, remastered. There are others that just see some technical faults with a remix maybe and have another reason, but so be it. So that's my take on remix versus remaster. I hope that helps you out. So now to my Grail of sorts. And I say of sorts because it isn't exactly what I was hoping for, but I'm just very happy that I was able to get it. So, and that is, my local record store actually just opened back up, and they happen to have the Beatles Complete Collection Mobile Fidelity Original Master Recordings box set. Problem was, is the box is a little beat up, and it was missing the book, and it was missing what's called the geodisc, which was kind of an alignment tool to use to maximize the sound quality of your turntable. But so that was a drawback, but I looked at all the vinyl. I love the vinyl that has the original master tape on there, so you can actually kind of see. Ooh, let me do it this way. You can actually see the information about the original master. I love that cover, the covers of these. But all the records, I think I had maybe there's 14 records in all, and I would say out of the 14 records, I had maybe 3 or 4 super superficial minor scratches, for lack of a better term, on them. And a couple of them were almost impossible to see unless I held them up to a really bright light and I held them at the right angle and I saw them. But I haven't been able to get through the whole thing yet, but I'm excited. It should be pretty awesome. I had 6 of the separate albums, the individual albums. I had basically Revolver through the White Album minus Yellow Submarine. But so basically I traded those in and a couple of other minor things for to basically do an even swap for this box set. So I actually got a tremendous deal on it. On the invoice, it says I paid $440, which these things generally go for at least $800 to $1,000 when they've got that geodisc in the book. So I felt that I got a good deal, and the most important part of the box set is here for me. So I've got all the albums in basically mint to near mint condition. So I've cleaned them all up and already listened to Please Please Me, and it sounded awesome. I look forward to listening to the rest of them. So. But that's my video for the week. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like what you saw, please like the video. And if you want to see more from me, subscribe to my channel. And also, if you want to know when my new videos come out, please hit the alert bell that's down there somewhere. I don't know exactly where it is, but anyways, if you want to comment, I would love to hear your comments about either the remix versus remaster or the Beatles box set that I just acquired. But other than that, that's everything. Thank you very much, and you guys have a great day.